And you, to play off of that, you play this music mogul who has a predicament, who wants to do the right thing, but explain to us how this then plays out.
All money ain't good money. What would you do? It's easy, Michael.
You always put me on the spot.
Man to man, son to son. What would you do?
Watch Denzel masterfully destroy these ABC hosts and their mainstream media / weird Hollywood facades multiple times in the most intense yet somehow gracious way possible to their faces on live TV in front of millions. And after that, we'll watch some of the most jaw-dropping moments where multiple interviewers try to flip the script and trap Denzel with pointed political and religious questions, and he simultaneously dunks on them while educating and inspiring millions in the process. This is Make Faith Famous. You're going to love this video, and without further ado, let's get into it, paying special attention to everyone's body language. By the way, the premise of the movie they're talking about is that Denzel's character is a music mogul millionaire who faces a moral dilemma of whether or not to basically give up his fortune to save a random kid who was kidnapped. So Denzel here is talking about basically money.
All money ain't good money. What would you do? It's easy, Michael.
You always put me on the spot.
Man to man, son to son. What would you do if it were your son in this set of circumstances?
When it's your son, but when it's a moral dilemma.
Yeah, but then that's what I'm saying. And then you find out it's not. What would you do?
It's a moral dilemma.
What would you do?
Oh.
What would you do? Yeah, you're already telling on yourself. That child's in trouble, huh? What would you do, Michael?
What would I do? I'd do the right thing. Another Spike Lee movie.
Let's take a look. Let's take a look.
It's true. How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm great.
Wait, hold on.
Playing everything?
I'm lovely. I feel great.
Thank you for coming to our new digs.
It is. Oh yeah. So this is the new.
Yeah, this is the new thing.
What do you think?
Come here anytime you want.
It's beautiful.
That's it.
It's big. Y'all are rich, huh?
We're doing all right.
Corporation.
Yeah.
You know how that works.
See, I hope it's not just me, but the tension in that room was palpable. Denzel was subtly criticizing them, and weirdly, the hosts seemed uncomfortable or unable to answer the question at all, especially the female host Robin, who was seemingly being intentionally dense about the whole thing. To be honest, I'm not sure if Denzel is the biggest fan of those guys, and after finding this clip of Michael Strahan, the black male host who Denzel called out, well, all I can say is, maybe I understand why Denzel went after him specifically.
Get ready for this trailblazing 11-year-old drag kid who RuPaul is calling the future.
What would you do, Michael?
You always put me on the
Please welcome Desmond Naples, a.k.a. Desmond is amazing. And your parents, we saw your parents in the piece that we did, and your parents are so supportive of you, but they've encouraged you to stay and be who you are. So how has that inspired you to be open about dressing in drag?
Michael.
They support me by letting me do what I want to do.
Michael.
How are you? Thank you for having me.
Michael.
So for you three, when you see Desmond, what comes to mind? What do you think about?
Inspirational.
corporation.
Yeah.
You know how that works.
What do you think about the huge fence our president wants to build with the Hispanic world?
I think it's very sneaky of the interviewer to ask this question in front of everyone. Probably trying to get a headline out of Denzel or get a rise out of him, or even make a bit of a name for herself in the Hollywood reporting industry. And you can tell by Denzel's face that he's initially not amused, but just watch how masterfully he puts this lady and all the reporters in their place. Check it out.
What?
Sorry.
What'd you say?
Okay.
How do I feel about the fence he's about to build?
Yeah.
And,
How many,
I think, this is what I think. I think we as Americans better learn to unite. I think we as Americans need to put our elected officials' feet to the fire and demand that they work together, or they won't get back in office. You know, in this age we live in, this accelerated information age, we're getting further and further apart. We're not getting together, we're getting further and further and further apart. everybody can't be right. But I think this is an opportunity, actually. You see how people are being energized and protesting and all that. But I think this is an opportunity for us to look at ourselves as a country and say, are we together, really? And are we holding our elected officials accountable to making sure that they're working together? Not just, hey, you're on your side, I win what I win, you win what you win. Because this is what is happening. This is what's happening. And God only knows where it's going.
Just wondering who you wound up supporting in the election and why.
Go ahead now. What was the question?
Well, that was a question. Who you wound up supporting in the election, presidential election?
None of your business.
None of my business?
None of your business.
Well, I'm only asking because the story was online, but that's okay. Let me ask you this. Over the last 8 years, in your mind, have race relations improved under his leadership?
Race relationships have to do with race relationships. You're white or whatever you are. I'm black or whatever I am. We're standing here talking now. That's how we get things done. You can't legislate love. The President of the United States can't legislate us into liking each other. We have to step forward and ask questions about each other and engage. There's no law that says, oh, because I'm president, you all got to get along now. So it's up to us.
And there's been so many protests in America, especially during the election. Black Lives Matter movement, for example, and those issues. Has that movement in particular, the Black Lives Matter movement, helped race relations or not in America?
Well, listen, we live in America. And in America, we have the freedom to express ourselves. We shouldn't take that for granted. So whatever the movements are, whether you agree with them or don't, they have the right to express themselves. So that's one of the great things about being in this country, that you do have the right to protest.
So those were some incredibly interesting clips where interviewers just constantly try to catch Denzel out, to make a headline out of him, to get him to slip up and say something inflammatory. But it's really amazing how he handles those situations as a man of faith and someone who appears to have a higher calling than just politics. Denzel is an incredibly deep and soulful thinker, and it makes me feel emboldened and inspired that someone on his level of success isn't just a blatant sellout. He really seems one of a kind to have been using his platform to constantly speak truth to power. And if you also love Denzel's faith and what this channel is all about, I humbly request that you please like the video, share it, comment something like God bless Make Faith Famous to help boost the video in the algorithm. And if you want something tangible in return, please consider picking up your favorite color of Make Faith Famous hat just in time for the holiday season by clicking the links below the video or scanning the QR code above. Thank you. And next up, we have one of my absolute favorite clips of Denzel completely dominating a conversation. The interviewer tries to sneakily steer into a critique of Donald Trump, but Denzel ends up completely mystifying the interviewer in the process. Let's check it out.
On the theme of change, right now, in the world we live in, there's a lot of change going on. Mm-hmm. Are you comfortable about the changes that are happening, for example, in the U.S. right now?
Understand this. Alvin Toffler wrote this years ago, Third Wave or Future Shock. We went from an agricultural society to an industrial society. The third wave is the information age. There are millions of people that are falling in the gap because they don't fit in to this information age. I don't care who you are. You can promise people a whole lot, but there's a whole lot of people that are in trouble right now because they just don't fit in. It's no coincidence that the places that were at the height of the Industrial Revolution in America, Pittsburgh, the Rust Belt, are suffering the worst right now.
And those are the places, of course, where Donald Trump...
And they're frustrated. And I don't care which president it is. They can't promise them anything, and those jobs aren't coming back. I don't care who promises you that. So what is the long-term effect of too much information? The polarization of the electorate? A meaner-spiritedness?
And false information as well, because the whole fake news thing.
Pick one. It's not just one. That's the flavor of the day. Every day is something else. People have to understand, are you using your device or is your device using you? Can you put it down? Can you turn it off?
You're talking about literally the places people get their information from.
I don't care what information. Pick one. Phone, television. You know, it used to be news. Now it's opinions. Oh, glasses. We have 3 experts on the right, 3 on the left. Let's discuss. Ooh, light bulbs. We have 3 experts on the right. That's not news. That's opinion news. Well, over and over and over. Cycle, 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 cycle. What is the long-term effect of too much information? If you're sitting there and you're thinking it's the gospel, what I'm saying to people is, to all of us, I'm not knocking the phone. What I'm saying is we have to understand, we have to at least ask ourselves, around the world, you here in England, wherever you are, what is it doing to us?
When people hear you talking as passionately as you do just then about people who haven't got a voice and the need for a voice, they might think maybe one day Denzel Washington might like to have a bigger voice, a voice in government.
You got to stay in your lane. I'm not running for what? I don't want any of that.
Would you never?
Ever, 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 ever.
If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed.
So what do you do?
That's a great question. What is the long-term effect of too much information? One of the effects is the need to be first, not even to be true anymore. So what a responsibility you all have to tell the truth, not just to be first, but to tell the truth. We live in a society now where it's just first. Who cares? Get it out there. We don't care who it hurts. We don't care who we destroy. We don't care if it's true. Just say it, sell it. Anything you practice, you'll get good at, including BS.
You told me last time.
Okay. But you heard me? Does that make sense?
You know, incarceration rates in America has been a problem, especially as opposed to minorities. And Roman delves into the issues around the legal system. Do you think we've made any headway in the legal system?
I think it's more important to make headway in our own house. By the time the system comes into play, the damage is done. They're not locking up 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
You know, I was in Chicago a couple of 3-4 weeks ago, and we saw these little kids on bikes with masks on the side of their head, like 5 or 6 of them. And the driver said, yeah, they're little yummies. I said, who? He said, little yummies. Look up, Google Lil Yummy. Lil Yummy was an 11-year-old murderer.
Wow.
And you look at his picture, you'll see the headshot of him, and he's like this. And he got murdered at 11 by a 14-year-old.
Wow.
Who's doing life now, and a 16-year-old.
That makes no sense.
You blame the system? Where was his father? Yeah. It starts in the house. It starts in the home. And yeah, well, my father got locked up. Well, where was his father?
Yeah.
You know, like I did talk about my 3 closest friends, and they did, 15 to 25. One did 28, this and that. I was the only one of the 3 that had a father in my life, even though my parents were together. But I still had a father who was a gentle man and a good example, and they didn't. We can blame the system if we want, but they didn't lock any of us up at 7.
Yeah.
We were all doing enough to get locked up at 13. My parents sent me in another direction. They didn't have anybody to help them, and they kept doing what they was doing, and the system got them. So I don't, the system is rigged, but why, all the more reason not to help it.
And those clips were truly powerful moments where he gives his view on the quote-unquote system and the political machine and really like the soul of the nation and the world at large. And it seems Denzel's truly quite deeply concerned about where we're at and where we're headed. My wife often has anxiety about the world and where it's going, especially in regards to our children and worrying about what the world is going to look like for them growing up. So I've seen how that can really mess with people's heads firsthand. And that's kind of why the channel exists, right? Because we, just like Denzel, want to see faith become more of the norm across the world so the world can simply be a better place. Let me know what you think about all that in the comments while I load up these final few clips where Denzel is having an interview with some deep, deep Hollywood elites and calls out the vapidness of the Hollywood system to their faces. Like, it's a very, very mind-blowing thing that he did this. And you can honestly even tell by seeing the table's reactions when the camera cuts to it. Let's watch.
What was your worst job that you had before you entered the film business?
I was a garbage man, like Troy. Garbage man, you get 3 hours, you get 8 hours worth of work, but you can do it in 3. So you can go home as soon as you finish. Post office, you get 3 hours worth of work and you make it last 8. I did both. I like being a garbage man better. But they weren't bad jobs. It's like, people say, oh, the difficulty of making a movie. I'm like, send your son to Iraq. That's difficult. It's just a movie. It's like relax. I don't play that precious nonsense. Oh, we're moving over. Get out of here. You know, your son got shot in the face. That's difficult. Making a movie is a luxury. It's a gift. It's an opportunity, and most importantly, it's a gift. Obviously, everybody here is talented enough to do that, but don't get it twisted. It's just a movie. It ain't that big a deal.
Does faith require activism for us to be active?
Well, you have to use your gifts. You know, faith without works is nothing. So not everybody has to be an activist. A woman prophesied years and years ago that I would travel the world and preach to millions of people. And I remember, you know, and I have traveled the world. I don't know if I'm a preacher, but through my work, I've spoken. And now I try to speak more in public. But I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit. So he didn't say stay in your lane, but you know, so try to be an agent for good. You know, that's what I'm all about now. I'm in the service business.